Guys, I'm very excited about this. I am joined by Omar Epps. You know him from Higher Learning, Juice, and the fine television program House. He's also on the board of an organization for performing arts in schools called Creative Coalition, and is here to tell us about why this is important to him and should be important to all of us. Omar, welcome. I'm just pulling up this. This is a Soren Peterson blog from the HuffPost education vertical, just talking about growing up, living in a creative economy. You know, I think presenting a point of view where, you know, as we see the arts and funding for the arts just gradually diminishing in our schools, trying to kind of give a perspective that says that you absolutely have to have arts in schools to inspire people who are going to be designers. The inspiration and imagination that comes from the arts is the only thing that allows us to really, you know, teach our kids to grow their minds in that way. Yeah,
I think it's how you frame the conversation. I mean, there's two ways to look at it. One, I look at it like every innovative thought comes from a creative mind state. So if you're a scientist, if you're a mathematician, what have you, when you're thinking outside the box, you're using a creative part of your mind.
Absolutely.
So there's that and all of the effects that can have on our culture. And also, when you look at all great societies, always heralded the arts. And in our American culture, we seem to separate it, and if you look at something as simple as the iPod, I mean, Steve Jobs was an artist, and yes, he was
absolutely
a incredible inventor or what have you, but the iPod, all of it was invented to listen to music, so that's one part of that. But the other thing is, fiscally, the arts and entertainment world is our second biggest export in America. So we don't herald the arts as part of us, as part of our whole culture. And you know, I mean, these guys can speak further to, I can speak from my own experience, but growing up, if I didn't have public arts programs, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. And you know,
agreed,
you know, on a logistic level, when you're working with kids, whether they're from impoverished urban areas or rural areas in middle America, you know, the arts teach you how to express yourself, how to work through your imagination, and also how to hold yourself accountable. A friend of mine is a principal in a school in the Bronx, and it was in a bad neighborhood, and you know, the kids were doing bad, and he decided to put on a play, you know, and it brought all these kids who were feuding together to work on they learned about teamwork. They learned to hold each other accountable, and that's just one of the runoffs of, you know, the arts that we don't really talk about.
This is obviously a nonpartisan issue, right? So how is this information being communicated to our politicians so that it's hopefully feeding back into our citizenship, so that somebody, some voice somewhere is saying, wait a minute, this doesn't even make fiscal sense, right, to make these cuts and to make these changes in our education system.
Yeah, I think bringing up the fiscal conversation in D.C.
I mean, that gets people listening, right? That's the only way.
You know, but also what I found is you know, making it more of a personal thing. You know, we went to a Rams luncheon last year, which is like the big Republican, which, you know, they're, you know, looking at us like we're the enemy coming in, but it's a nonpartisan thing. And I found really interesting cases of you know, congressmen and senators who had, you know, real experiences with their kids who weren't doing well in a new school and started taking something like a piano class or something that simple, you know, had a trickle-down effect into their whole education. So, you know, we believe we're fighting the good fight. It's a tough fight because we're in a tough economic time, but, you know, to your point just now, I think that this is something, it's just reframing the conversation and integrating the arts into science, math, and what have you.
Omar, I just wanted to ask you, I just pulled up the site for You, Me, and the Circus. You got behind the scenes, you're not necessarily showing up to say somebody else's lines.
Right.
You're having the opportunity to be creating on a much more kind of the business side of movie making. So what was that like, and did you have trepidations about it?
It was a labor of love, you know. You Me, and the Circus is a film that it's available now on iTunes, and it's a musical, so it was a tough endeavor, but you know, I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about what I've been blessed to be able to make a living by doing what I love. So it's a film about expression, it's a film about love, it's a film about fear, and all of these things, you know, sort of expressed through music. But that's a nice plug, by the way.
Could it be expressed? Thank you. Could it be expressed through math? I'm not sure. We're not going to have music anymore, so it's going to have to be come out a different way.
We're always going to have music, but we need to get to him. But I just want to say one thing. You know, when we talk about The Hill, the biggest number that we found through Creative Coalition is that for every $1 invested into the arts, you get $7 return. And this is a real number.
Yeah.
So you know, you can build this, you can build that. There's like in our recession, it didn't change. It didn't fluctuate.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
it's a powerful thing. For, you know, we're talking about it in a human terms, but even just as a country, as an economy, you know, it pays dividends.